Prabhuji, are you able to see my screen and is my voice audible? Everything clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. We can see the screen and the voice is also clear.
Haribol. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll get started with the Kirtan and then we'll go into today's topic after the prayers. Hare Krishna. Vraj jana man sukhakari radhe Sham Shama Sham Radhe Vraj jana man sukhakari radhe Sham Shama Sham Mor mukut makara krita kundala galavai jayanti mala Mor mukut makara krita kundala galavai jayanti mala Charananupura rasala radhe Sham Shama Sham O Radhe Charananupura rasala radhe Sham Shama Sham Sundara Vadana Kamala Dalalochana Bhakti Chitvanhari Sundara Vadana Kamala Dalalochana Bhakti Chitvanhari Mohana Vamshi Vihari Radhe Shama Shama Sham O Radhe Mohana Vamshi Vihari Radhe Shama Shama Sham Vrindavan mein denu charave Gopi jan manhari Vrindavan mein denu charave Gopi jan manhari Shri Govardhana Dhari Radhe Shama Shama Sham O Radhe Shri Govardhana Dhari Radhe Shama Shama Sham Radha Krishna Miliya Buddha Gaura Rupa Avatari Radha Krishna Miliya Buddha Gaura Rupa Avatari Pritana Dharma Prachari Radhe Shama Shama Sham O Radhe Kirtana Dharma Prachari Radhe Shama Shama Sham तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूप अवतारी तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूप अवतारी चरणन में बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 ओ राधे चरणन में बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 ओ राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे 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 श्याम 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 राधे श्याम राधे व्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम 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 राधे श्याम व्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्याम श्याम। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल। नित्य गौर हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल। प्रणाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दीताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमा ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने। Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mugam karoti vachalam pangam langaite gurum yakrutamaham vande Shri Gurudhiratarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Pavitro va sarva vastam gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sapyakyabhyantara suchi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Thank you very much for joining the discussion on Bhagavatam on early morning on a Saturday. So, Vinay Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna for joining, Prabhu. Balamani Mataji, Hare Krishna, thank you very much for joining. Tatyani Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for joining. Shri Gopal Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, thanks for joining, Prabhuji. Raveen Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Vanilla Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for joining. Padma Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna. Madhavi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, thanks for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Ram Reddy Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Annapurna Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Raju Prabhu, thanks for joining, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Subbarao Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for joining, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Leela Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for joining. Santosh Aditya Prabhu, thanks for joining, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna. Mansa Mataji, thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. So we will quickly go into the today's discussion. So today we are going to discuss about chapter 6 of Canto 4 in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the name of the chapter is Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva. So basically the plot is after the Daksha Yagna, where entire devastating situation happened in the Daksha Yagna, everybody leaves, right? Lord Veerabhadra also leaves to the abode of Kailasa. And then all the demigods and sages will go to Brahma, right? And they will exchange some dialogue between Brahma and the demigods and sages, and Brahma will be explaining them, right? What to be done and what not to be done, how. So that's the plot. It is exactly after Lord Veerabhadra leaves the Daksha Yagna place, the next continuation of that chapter is chapter 6 of Canto 4. In chapter 5, we have seen, in detail of how Daksha Yagna went and what happened, what is Daksha's ego problems and all those things we have discussed in that. And we will see the continuation part of it in chapter 6. Right? So I'll just take you through the introduction before we go into the actual subject. So there are 53 shlokas in this chapter. And today I will cover from shloka 1 to shloka 33. Right? Because it is not possible to cover all the 53 shlokas in one class with the time constraint what we have. So we will go with from 1 to 33. There is a reason why I have chosen from 1 to 33. And the rest of the 20 shlokas from 34 to 53 will be covered by His Grace Prasad Prabhu tomorrow. So anyone who wants to know exactly what happened in the complete chapter, it is required for all of you to attend tomorrow's session also. Right? And I have divided this overall presentation today or the class today into 3 sections. Number 1, section 1, shloka 1 to shloka 8, where Lord Brahma explaining the greatness of Lord Shiva to the demigods and sages.
So as I said, the plot is all of them will reach to Brahma, Lord Brahma, and he's explaining, what is the greatness of Shiva. Right? Section 2, Shloka 9 to 30th, all of them will start going to Kailasa. So Lord Brahma says, all right, whatever happened is happened. So let's go and ask for forgiveness from Lord Shiva. Right? So I'm sure he will definitely forgive us. So let us all go. So Brahma goes along with all the demigods and sages. All of them will go together. And while they are going in the Vimana, right, the entire beauty of the Kailasha and the surrounding areas were explained. Right? So most of this chapter will cover that. Right? Almost if you look at 9 to 30th shloka, that means almost 22 shlokas out of 33 shlokas is covered. Only about explaining the beauty and greatness of Kailasha. So that means almost about 75-80% of the chapter is only about explaining how beautiful Kailasha is and what is the greatness of Kailasha. Right? And section 3, shloka 31 to 33, just 3 shlokas. So Lord Brahma's arrival along with demigods into Kailasha and the first sight of Lord Shiva. So they will enter into Kailasha, right? And they will see Lord Shiva there. So that's the reason I have chosen to finish this chapter or close this chapter today at 33, because there is no discussion which will start between Lord Brahma or demigods or along with Lord Shiva. So, that suspense is for tomorrow, right? So, even if I start the discussion today, we will not be able to complete that with the time constraint. So that's the reason, Prasad Prabhu and I spoke and we thought, I will do it till here, where Lord Brahma along with demigods enter into Kailasha and they see Lord Shiva there. So what they talk to Lord Shiva, how he forgives them and all that discussion will be tomorrow, right? So that's the reason I have chosen to close this chapter at 33 shloka today, right? And this chapter is explained by Maitreya Rishi, right? As a part of the Bhagavatam discussion, right? So we will go into first and second shlokas along with the translation. So I will read first and second shloka along with the translation. And after that, probably each devotee can take one translation. They will not read shlokas. We will read the translation and then we will discuss about the purpose of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So most of this chapter, Prabhujis and Matajis, is self-explanatory. And, when I was actually preparing this chapter, I have seen that, at least 75-80% of this chapter does not have any purpose, right? So it is self-explanatory. We can just read it through. And some places where Prabhupada has given us some purpose, I have tried putting in some important points and we will discuss them through. But, I think there is no purpose for most of this chapter. So probably we might also finish this early, right? Today, we might not take really long time. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, thank you. So, Shloka 1, Maitreya Uvacha, Atadheva Ganaha Sarve, Rudrani Kaiparajitaha, Sulyapatisa Nistrimsya, Dada Parigha, Mudgariya. Shloka 2, Sanchinna Binna Sarvangaha, Satvik Sabya Bhayakulaha, Swayambhuve Namaskritya, Kritsye Naitam Nyavadiyam. So the translation of these two shlokas: all the priests and other members of the sacrificial assembly and all the demigods, having been defeated by the soldiers of Lord Shiva and injured by weapons like tridents and swords, approached Lord Brahma with great fear. After offering him obeisances, they began to speak in the detail of all the events which had taken place. So that's the opening shloka or verses, or first 1 or 2 verses of this chapter, where, as I said, the plot after the entire disastrous situation happened in the Daksha Yagna, all the assembly and the demigods who were available there, who were badly hurt, right, because of the war which has taken place by the soldiers of Lord Shiva. They're badly injured. They all went to Lord Brahma and they are explaining him what happened and all those things, right? We'll go into the second one. The third shloka, somebody wants to read the translation?
Hare Krishna. Both Lord Brahma and Vishnu have already known that such events would occur in the sacrificial area of Daksha. And knowing beforehand, they did not go to the sacrifice.
Yeah, Haribol. Thank you. This is very important purport, right? Prabhupada has given some explanation on this. We will discuss about that. Number 4, translation. One of you can do it.
When Lord had heard everything from the members and members who had the sacrifice, he replied, "You cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality and thereby offend his lotus feet. You cannot have happiness this way." Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Haribol. So important points, key points from these 4 verses. Number 1, if you see the 3rd verse, right? Lord Brahma is saying, Vishnu and I already know that such events would occur in the sacrificial arena of Daksha, right? So Prabhupada explains that Bhagavad Gita 7.26 shloka is supported here, right? In 7.26, Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. So he says, it is nothing that I don't know, Arjuna. I know the past, I know the present, I know the future. Right? Nothing goes out of my sight, nothing goes out of my knowledge, is what Krishna said. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. I know everything. Right? So the same thing what Lord Brahma is reiterating here, right? Lord Vishnu and I know that such events would occur. Right? So that is the reason we are not there in that sacrificial arena of Daksha. Right? Then somebody might say, if Vishnu and Lord Brahma know about this, first of all, why did they allow it to happen? Right? They should have stopped it, right? Right? The answer is simple. If Krishna wanted to stop the Kurukshetra war, the war would have never happened. But there are certain events and certain reasons why things happen. So in the same way, there is a reason why Daksha Yajna should happen, and how, why Lord Shiva was not invited, right? And why he was not offered the sacrificial benefits. So there is a reason for everything. There is a reason behind everything, right? So, that's the reason, Lord does not stop, right? He will create the situation, but he will leave it for our free will destiny, right? Intelligence. That is what which is given to us. Right? In the same way, here also, though Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu know that these things will happen, they stayed quiet, they did not attend, but they did not try to stop, because there is a reason why that should happen. Right? One cannot enjoy fruitive sacrificial activities when a great personality like Lord Shiva is offended. This is from verse 4. Right? It is very clear, Prabhujis and Matajis, that, Lord Brahma is clearly telling it to the demigods, right? So it is very clear that, the overall activity will not be fruitful, right? Basically here, Daksha wants to enjoy the benefits of the sacrificial or the yajna that he's doing. But what he did, he tried blaspheming the great devotee, right? A great personality and a great devotee like Lord Shiva, he tried blaspheming him because he did not invite him. It is a great insult to Lord Shiva. Right? If he is intentionally insulted, do you think that, Daksha can enjoy the benefits? And we all know what is the result of Daksha Yajna. Right? Absolutely. Right? Any of these sacrificial benefits will have to be offered. And, it's very clear that, how did Daksha think that he can enjoy the benefits? Though he thought he will enjoy the benefits, just by blaspheming or insulting a great personality like Lord Shiva, there is no reason that he can benefit out of that. Right? In fact, if we look at the 10 rules or insult to the holy names, right? The very first one is blaspheming the devotees who have sacrificed their life in propagating the holy name. And Bhagavatam says Vaishnavanam Yathashambho. Right? Why Shiva is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. And will Lord Vishnu be happy with this? That his greatest devotee is being insulted. Right? And he himself did not attend the yajna or the sacrificial arena. right? Because Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer of all the sacrifices. He confirms that in Bhagavad Gita too. In 5th chapter, he says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sakhrudam Sarva Bhutanam Gnatva Mam Shanti Murchyati. He says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. I am the ultimate enjoyer. Right? So, when he's confirming that he's the ultimate enjoyer and he's the ultimate benefit of all the sacrificial, who will have to take the benefit of all the sacrificial, he's the enjoyer. Then, he himself is not there in the Dakshayagna arena. Right? Where will it happen? Right? So it's simple. Even Daksha wants to enjoy the material benefits by conducting the sacrificial or the yajna. It was not appropriate. So Brahma also explains in this purport where Prabhupada clearly gives us an indication that there is a punishment for everything as per the Manu's law, right? And Brahma explains that Daksha was supposed, it's better to be killed in this war, right? Why he explains this is, if Daksha is not killed in this war, he will tend to commit more and more mistakes in the lotus feet of such great personalities, right? He need to be punished, right? In the same way, if even in today's society, in the material world, when somebody is involved in a murder or a heinous crime, if they are not punished by death, right, they will tend to commit more and more such offenses. Then somebody might say, Prabhuji, but we have jails, right? They're putting in the jails and they're being punishments. But Prabhuji and Matajis, we all know, right? How many jails are really creating that kind of transformation in the criminals? Are they? The answer is no. If the jails can create that transformation in the criminals, then all the jails must be empty by now, right? So, if when a thief has that fear that, oh my God, if I am put in the jail, I'll be punished, then he will never go for theft. He will never do that. Right? But are we seeing that? Even if a thief is caught, they're put in the jail, they come back and they repeat the same thing. They're involved in the thefts. Right? So in the same way, Brahma explains that, any punishment for such kind of heinous crimes should be appropriate. It should be given. And even if it is death, that is fine. So in this case of Daksha, Brahma clearly says that it is fine for him to die, to be killed in that war, because he will not commit more and more mistakes at the lotus feet of such great personalities. Prabhuji and Matajis, if we look at this, it is other way around of the mercy as well. Because somewhere Lord is putting a full stop for us not to do such kind of heinous activities or commit such kind of sins more and more, which will add bad karma to us. Right? Definitely it adds big karma. Right? So that's what the first 4 verses talks about. We'll go into the next verses. Yeah, 5th shloka translation. Can one of you read it?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Shall I read Shloka Prabhu or just translation?
Translation, Prabhu. We'll just go with translation.
Translation. You have excluded Lord Shiva from taking part in the sacrificial results, and therefore you are all offenders at his lotus feet. Still, if you go without mental reservations and surrender unto him and fall down at his lotus feet, he will be very pleased. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Shloka 6 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandot Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Brahma also advised them that Lord Shiva is so powerful that by his anger all the planets and their chief controllers can be destroyed immediately. Also, he said that Lord Shiva was especially sorry because he had recently lost his dear wife and was also very much afflicted by the unkind words of Daksha. Under the circumstances, Lord Brahma suggested it would behoove them to go at once and beg his pardon. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Number 7 translation.
I'll read Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Lord said that no one, not even himself, Indra, all the members assembled in the sacrificial arena or all the sages could know how powerful Lord Shiva is. Under the circumstances, who would dare to commit an offense at his lotus feet? Hare Krishna.
Yes. So important points. So number 5, shloka. So where Brahma says, I'm sure, Lord Shiva is very merciful, right? If we fall on his lotus feet and ask for forgiveness, he will definitely be pleased and he will forgive. Right? Prabhupada explains in this purport that why Lord Shiva is called Asutosh, right? So Asu means very soon, right? And Tosha means to become satisfied. So, that's the actual meaning of Asutosh. And Prabhupada explains this, Brahma was explaining to the demigods and other people who are available, present in that assembly that, Lord Shiva is Ashutosh, right? So if we go and fall on his lotus feet, he will definitely be pleased and forgive us. Number 2, right? Overall, all these purports also talk about a position of a subordinate, right? What is the position of a subordinate? If you look at 5, 6, and 7, right? So Prabhupada discusses about the position of a subordinate is always to surrender to the Supreme, right? So, whatever, as we are part of the materialistic world, right? Even demigods tend to commit mistakes. That's what, we all know, right? And we have seen such scenarios, right, in our Puranas and Itihasas and a lot of areas as well. So whatever we do, I think, at the end of the day, the position as a subordinate, because Supreme is different and Jiva and Atma, they are different, right? Jivatma and Paramatma, right? As a Jivatma, we should, and a subordinate, we should always surrender to the Supreme Lord, right? And Prabhupada also quotes about this purport, about this shloka in Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapter 66, which says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma shuchana. It is very, very apt here, right? So, if we surrender on to the Supreme, right, with that kind of consciousness and attitude, Krishna himself confirms that, I will definitely, forgive you and remove all your sins and finally take you back to my abode, right? Yeah. Number 8. One of you can read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can I
Hare
read?
Krishna, Rajibhai.
The translation. After this instructing all the demigods, the Pitas and the Lord of the living entities, Lord Brahma took them with him and left for the abode of Lord Shiva, known as the Kailasa Hill. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So from here, Prabhuji and Mataji's almost up to 30th shlokas, right? Most of the shlokas does not have purpose, and it only explains about the beautiness. And it's all, self-explanatory. Somewhere in between, if we have some purpose, we will discuss about that. So we can quickly go into these things. Yeah, number 9, one of you can do this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Shall I read it, Prabhu?
Prabhu.
One second.
Number 9
The
translation.
abode, yes, Prabhu. The abode known as Kailasha is full of different herbs and vegetables, and it is sanctioned by Vedic hymns and mystic yoga practice. Thus, the residents of abode are demigods by birth and have all mystic powers. Beside them, there are other human beings who are known as Kinnaras and Gandharvas and are accompanied by their beautiful wives, who are known as Apsaras or angels. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, though most of these shlokas till the 30th verse does not have purports, only translation, they are very, very important for us, especially for people, who are reading the Vedic scriptures and are progressing in bhakti, because this part of the Bhagavatam, this chapter of the Bhagavatam explains very, very clearly, very, very evidently on how Kailasha is, right? So, probably, definitely, not probably, definitely, none of us would have seen how Kailasha is, right? But this scripture of Srimad Bhagavatam is giving a very clear picture of how Kailasha is, right? and how scientifically advanced our, probably I should say our demigods, or, probably thousands and millions of years back, right? Some of these verses will explain some scientific machines and airplanes also, right? Which we don't even see now, right? Prabhupada explains that in this, couple of purports as well. So, it gives us a very, very clear understanding on how beautiful and how great Kailasha is, and how the overall appearance of Kailasha is, right? So, as we know, a lot of things, even the part of the science of self-realization program, there is one topic called why should we believe in scriptures, right? So in one of the discussion, as a part of that particular session, why should we believe in scriptures, right? There is a discussion between Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra, which is highlighted, right? So Dhritarashtra asks, how is the war going on, and how is what is the shape of the whole earth? Where is it going on, and what is the shape of the whole earth? And Sanjaya gives him a very, very, very reasonable answer on how the entire earth is, right? How the land is basically, right? So he says, it is like a rabbit eating a vegetable or a grass, right? So, if possible, I will put that PPT in our group. You can also go through that. So if we read that, we will not understand, right? What do you mean by, how is Sanjaya saying there is a rabbit eating grass, and that is a map of the entire globe, right? But actually, if that map is turned upside down, that exactly how the different continents and the earth looks like. Basically, I'm talking about the land, right? So that is the kind of vision our ancestors had, right? So though we will not be in a position to see the Kailasa with our materialistic eyes, Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly explains how beautiful and great Lord Shiva's abode is, right? And this is the reason we should believe our scriptures, right? And scientifically also, if we see, everything will match, right? So you will understand as we progress into this chapter. Yes, number 10. One of you can read this.
Uncle, can I read this translation?
Yes, you can. Number 10 translation.
Where is the number 10 translation?
Okay, 1 minute. No. Uncle, that
Yes. Go ahead. Start. Number 10 translation.
Galicia is full of mountains filled with all kinds of valuable jewels and minerals and surrounded by all varieties of valuable trees and plants. The top of the hill is nicely decorated by various types of deer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, when a particular purport or a translation is explaining about Kailasha, I tried putting in some photographs just for our understanding, right? How it exactly looks, right? But, please forgive me. I will not be able to exactly, visualize or showcase how Kailasa looks. It's definitely not possible for our materialistic eyes. But I tried picking up some photographs based on the shlokas and the translations given, and probably presented. Maybe, at least you can have some basic understanding on how it looks. Yeah, number 11. One of you can do this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. There are many waterfalls, and in the mountains there are many beautiful caves in which the very beautiful wives of the mystics are found. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Prabhu. Number 12.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. On Kailasa Hill, there is always the rhythmical sound of the peacocks, sweet vibrations, and the bees humming. Cuckoos are always singing, and other birds whisper amongst themselves.
Hare Krishna. Number 13.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Matas.
There are tall trees with the straight branches that appear to call the sweet birds. And when herds of elephants pass through the hills, it appears that the Kailasa hill moves with them. When the waterfalls resounds, it appears that Kailasa hill does also.
Haribol. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, as I said, though we do not have a long purports, important points from these shlokas, but try and understand how beautifully Kailasa is depicted here. The description, how it is. If you actually look at it, it is very, very evident to us, right? We can actually vision, right, how beautiful Kailasa is, right? Each and every small point, right? Maitreya Rishi is explaining, and Vedavyasa Maharshi is given us, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Look at each and every point how it is. They're saying there are many waterfalls on the mountains, beautiful caves, and peacocks are humming, and the vibrations are coming. Tall trees, nice waterfalls, and hills throughout the hills. Right, so how beautifully it is designed is what probably we'll have to understand from this.
Anna, may I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
From the basics, what we know that Shiva looks very, what he wears, where he lives in crematories or graveyard, he wears all, he applies all the ashes to his body. So basically very ugly description, always what we heard about Krishna. Sorry, Lord Shiva. So how come now Mount Kailash is so beautiful?
That is what the understanding we have, Mataji, right? Because yes, Shiva is not a materialistic person. He will not be, he will not decorate himself really good, with all the jewels and all those things. But this is the description what Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us. Right? It is not about Shiva, it is about his abode. Right? Shiva, Lord Shiva, yes, he's not a materialistic person. He's not a person who's interested in decorating himself, and not interested and always with vibhuti and bhasmam and all those things. But this is a simple description which Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us. So we will have to go with it. We will have to agree to that. The entire abode of Kailasha is such beautiful. So that is the understanding we never had.
Yeah, then the story is what we heard, then that should be wrong. Like he lives in crematories, in graveyards.
See, it is not that they are wrong, right? I would say, see, yes, it is also believed, and certain scriptures also explain that, Shiva also resides in graveyards, right? See, it's Lord is omnipresent. Just because he's he's available in Kailasha does not mean that he's not available in a different place. Right? And moreover, given that Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi, they are the mother and father of this material world, they are definitely available or present in the material world as well. In the same way, how we know that Krishna was in Goloka and also was in Vrindavan when the pastimes were happening on the earth. So he's available everywhere. In the same way, Lord Shiva, though his actual abode is Kailasha, he is also available on the earth, and he is also available in the graveyards. And specifically in the graveyards, why Lord Shiva is available is what a explanation. I don't know how far that is true. An explanation I heard when I was hearing one of the lectures is that when the body is cremated, basically, right, after the cremation happens and the soul is left alone, right? So this is a very good explanation given. The soul gets up from the body, or the soul is alone, right? After the body is over, the cremated and there is nothing available, only the ashes available. There is no material body available. The soul is alone. So the soul suffers a lot, it seems. Where should I go? What is this? It is everything, everywhere it is darkness. Where is my family? Where is my friends? Where is my, spouse? Where are my children? What is happening? And the soul starts weeping, right? In a great, distress, basically. That's where, Lord Shiva will be present. He's available in the graveyards, pacifying the soul, right? And he gives them the guidance, it seems, saying, don't worry, right? I'm there to help you. I will guide you, right? I don't know how far that is true, but, I'm just sharing with you as I heard it from our great preacher, Chaganti Gaurav. Right? So,
in this case, so however the sinful the person is, once he dies, he'll get the darshan of Lord Shiva immediately.
I'm not really sure about that, Mataji, but that's what explained. So I was just telling you, I'm
It's a
just
very
answering
nice
your question on why
explanation.
is available in this material world.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not really sure. Of course, based on the karmas and the past lives and whatever goods and bads that we do, of course, soul will have to travel. We all know that, right? So only if there is a good karma, there might be possibility. But if there is a bad karma, there is a different possibility of we're going to Emaloka. But
Yeah.
probably as per what I heard and what explained, probably if any of the seniors in this call can help with some inputs, it's good. But that's what it is said. Even before the journey starts, right? So Shiva is present, pacifying the soul and guiding them what to do. It could be going to Amaloka also.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Anya. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. 14:15 translation you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
The whole of Kailasa hill is decorated with various kinds of trees, of which the following names may be mentioned. Mandara, Parijata, Sarala, Tamala, Tala, Govidara, Asana, Arjuna, Amara, Jati, Mango, Kadamba, Dulhi, Kadamba, Naga, Unnaga, Champaka, Patala, Ashoka, Bakula, Kunda, and Kurabaka. The entire hill is decorated with such trees which produce flowers with fragrant aromas.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Number 16. One of you can read this.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are other trees also which decorate the hill, such as the golden lotus flower, the cinnamon tree, Malati, Kubja, Mallika, and Madhavi. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Number 17.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kailasa hill is also decorated with such trees as Kata, jackfruit, Julara, banyan trees, Plakshas, Nagrodas, and trees producing Asafoetida. Also, there are trees of betel nuts and Bhurjapatra, as well as Rajapuga, blackberries, and similar other trees.
Yeah, number 18. One of you can read this. I think Prabhuji and Mataji's, whoever have not read can get the opportunity. I'm only seeing devotees who are reading or again repeating. So I request all of you to please take part actively, and whoever have not read, please read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji translation.
Hare Krishna.
There are mango trees, Priyala, Madhuka, and Inguda. Besides these, there are other trees like thin bamboos, Kichaka, and varieties of other bamboo trees, all decorating the tract of Kailasha hills. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 19 and 20.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
There are different kinds of lotus flowers, such as Kumuda, Utpala, and Satapatra. The forest appears to be a decorated garden, and the small lakes are full of various kinds of birds who whisper very sweetly. There are many kinds of other animals also, like deer, monkeys, boars, lions, rakshas, salyakas, forest cows, forest asses, tigers, small deer, buffalo, and many other animals who are fully enjoying their lives.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji and Matajis, when we are going through this verses and understand how beautiful Kailasha is, probably we can also relate that practically to today's area of Himalayas, because it is believed that the entire Himalayas area is the abode of Lord Shiva, including Kailasha Parvat, which is near Manas Sarovar. So if you actually look at, if any of you have been to the Himalayan region, anywhere in Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand or Kashmir or any of the Sikkim, many of these places, you will see the overall atmosphere there is very similar to which is explained here. Right? Maybe we don't know the names of those trees and in detail and all those things, but you see very, very similar atmosphere, right? Different kinds of forests, different kinds of animals, different kinds of hills, mountains, waterfalls, lakes, right? And different kinds of flowers, plants, and different kinds of fragrances, right? I'm not sure if somebody has went into the deep Himalayas for any of the trekkings and anything like that. But if you actually go, you will actually see this kind of situation or this kind of scenarios there. The scenes are very, very similar to what is explained here. So, practically also we can actually relate that with the today's Himalayan region as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, that is the beauty of it, because anything explained in our scriptures, if we actually have to relate with anyone, it is with anything today's world, it is actually possible. It is practically possible. It is not a rocket science or a myth, right? Because our scriptures are written with a vision, right? By the great sages like Vyadavyas. It is not a paradise kind of thing which we have not ever seen. We can actually relate. Right? Yeah, number 21. One of you can read this.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
There are varieties of deer such as Karnantra, Ekapada, Asvasya, Vrika, and Kasturi. The deer which bears musk. Besides the deer, there are many banana trees which decorate the small hillside lakes very nicely.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. 22. Translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
There is a small lake named Alakananda, in which Sati used to take her bath, and that lake is especially auspicious. All the demigods, after seeing the specific beauty of Kailasha hill, were struck with wonder at the great opulence to be found here. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, number 23.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can you say?
Yes, please read. Hare Krishna.
Thus the demigods saw the wonderfully beautiful region known as Alaka in the forest known as
Saugandhalika.
Saugandhika, which means full of fragrance. The forest is known as Saugandhika because it's abundant of lotus flowers.
Abundance. Because of its
Lotus flowers.
Yeah. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Couple of important points from these purpose. So if you look at 22 verse, right, there is a mention of Alakananda here, right? So they said there is a small lake named Alakananda in which Sati used to take her bath, and that lake is especially auspicious. So Prabhupada in this purport explains that as per the commentary given by Sri Bhagavata Chandrika, right, on Alakananda, this Alakananda seems to be nothing but river Ganges, river Ganga, right? Because we also see in the coming purports how sacred this lake or river is, right? So, because, as per our scriptures also say, though, the river Ganga is coming from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, right? From the dust of Lord Krishna, it passes through Kailasha. We all know that, right? Because Lord Shiva has borne Ganga on his head, right? So it passes through Kailasha. Therefore, Prabhupada explains that there is a high possibility that this Alakananda lake, which is mentioned in this particular translation or in this verse, as per Sri Bhagavata Chandra Chandrika, it could be none other than river Ganges. And number 23 verse, if you see, there is a name of, there is a mention of Alaka, right? So Viraraghava Acharya explains that Alaka means uncommonly beautiful, right? Probably that is the reason Ganga also is known as Alakananda, right? The actual meaning of Alaka is uncommonly beautiful. It has a different meaning in Telugu altogether. When we say Alaka, somebody is not happy is what Alaka means in Telugu, right? They're like, they're protesting kind of thing, right? Sweet protest. Yeah, number 24, one of you can read this.
They also saw the two rivers named Nanda and Alakananda. These two rivers are sanctified by the dust of lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, number 25.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation. My dear Kasta, Vidura, and the celestial themselves come down to those rivers in their airplanes, which their husbands, and after sexual enjoyment, they enter the water and enjoy sprinkling their husbands with water. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Number 26. One of you can read this, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
Okay, 1 minute, Prabhuji. Okay, after the themselves of the heavenly planets bathe in the water, it becomes yellowish and fragrant due to the kumkums from their bodies. Thus, the elephants come to bathe there with their wives, the sea elephants, and they also drink the water, although they are not thirsty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, a couple of important points which Prabhupada mentions in the purports. If you see the shloka number 25, right, it is mentioned that the heavenly angels, or typically called as celestial damsels, they come in their planes into Kailasha after the sexual enjoyment along with their husbands and take bath in these rivers, right? And the word Rati Karshitaha is used here, right? Rati Karshitaha means morose after sex enjoyment. That means the actual meaning is they are not happy. They are not happy because they know that, it is all temporary enjoyment, temporary sense gratification, right? As they are also part of the material world, because of the material influence, they get into this sexual enjoyment, but after finishing it, they regret it, right? They morose. The morose means basically into a bad temper, right? They regret it, why did we do it? They are not happy. They are not happy because they understand that, it is a temporary enjoyment. But Maya's influence or materialistic influence is so strong that, they can't avoid it, right? Therefore, what do is, they come into Kailasha to take bath in this sacred lake or river, right? So that they can wash off that kind of, probably, where they are polluted. Basically, they are polluted. So at least they want to be impolluted so that they take bath in this rivers to at least, clear that pollution, what they have gone through is what, Prabhupada explains in this one. And, also, if you look at 26, right? Even animals in Kailasha has that level of consciousness, right? So they come and take bath in that rivers, right? After this, heavenly planet, people have bathed and they went, right? And Prabhupada also explains in this purport that he uses a word called Tripada. Tripada means sanctified place. Tirth means basically Tirth and Pada. Tirtha plus Pada. Tirtha means a sanctified place or a holy place, right? And Pada means lotus feet, right? Lotus feet of Lord Krishna, right? So Prabhupada explains that Tripada and Rati Karistaha are the two words which are very, very prominent for this particular explanation or this particular verses of 25 and 26. So Prabhupada explains that a pure devotee, quotes the commentary of Srila Narottama Dasa Thakur, right? He quotes the commentary from him and says that, Srila Narottama Dasa Thakur explained that due to a lot of, current situations in the material world and in Kali Yuga, right? So it is definitely troublesome for somebody to go to different tirthas or different dhams or holy places one by one, right? It is not possible, right? Therefore, Narottama Dasa explains that instead of going to different places and trying to purify ourselves, right? Like how the damsels of heavenly planets are doing here, right? Coming into, Kailasha hill and then, trying to take bath in Alakananda, right? To purify themselves. Narottama Dasa Thakur explains that an intelligent person will not do it, right? The intelligent person, wherever he is, he will not try to go to different dhams. Wherever he is, a pure devotee, wherever he is, he will try to take a shelter of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that he'll get purified at that place itself, right? And he also explains that pure devotees, they, instead of going to different dhams, they create dhams in the place where they are situated with their pureness, right? So I kind of, when I was reading this, it sounded little skeptical for me. How is this possible, right? Probably, some things are beyond definitely our material understanding, right? How can a pure devotee create something, right, where he is actually situated, right? Then kind of, I went into a discussion, probably it's my personal experience, Prabhuji and Mataji's. Then, when I was in Mayapur for the very first time, right? Sakshi Achyuta Prabhu, His Grace Sakshi Achyuta Prabhu, a brahmachari from our Abbots ISKCON temple. He took all of us, right? Praveen Prabhu was there, Subbarao Prabhuji was there, and all of us went. We all went to a Gaudiya Mutt in Mayapur, where His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is, his samadhi is still there, right? So Sakshi Achyuta Prabhu was explaining to us that His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has created Radhakund, Shamakund, Giri, Govardhan in Mayapur, right? I was like, I was taken a step back. How is it possible? Because my material understanding is so low at that point of time, right? My understanding was so low. So I was like, how is it possible? How can somebody create Radhakund, Shamakund, Giri Govardhan in the place where you are residing? They're supposed to be in Vrindavan, and they're already created. They're already there, right? How can somebody create like that, right? Of course, His Grace Sakshi Achyuta Prabhu has given us a detailed understanding on how is it possible because of the pureness of a devotee, a pure devotee, right? It's, he has that kind of power to create with Lord's mercy, who takes the shelter of lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can definitely create wherever they are. They can sanctify the places, basically, is what it is explained. And I left that point there, but I was reading this purport, Prabhupada clearly explains how this can be created, right? What is the power of a pure devotion and what is the power of a pure devotee, right? With all his intention and with all his power, with the mercy of Lord Krishna, they can create such kind of sanctified places where they are situated, right? So I got the answer. My question was there, and of course I got an understanding. But when I was reading this Bhagavatam chapter and I was going through Prabhupada purports, then I understood that, oh yes, this is possible, right? A pure devotee can sanctify the place and definitely create such kind of, great places in the place where he is residing. So we'll go into the next one. Yeah, 27. One of you can read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. The airplanes of the heavenly denizens are bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. The heavenly denizens are compared to clouds in the sky decorated with occasional flashes of electric lightning. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, 28.
Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read. While
Yes.
traveling, the demigods passed over the forest known as Saugandhika, which is full of varieties of flowers, fruits, and desired trees. While passing over the forest, they also saw the regions of Yaksheshwara.
Hare Krishna. 29. Yeah, one of you can read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Subhara.
In that celestial forest, there were many birds whose necks were colored reddish and whose sweet sounds mixed with the humming of the bees. The lakes were abundantly decorated with crying swans as well as strong stemmed lotus flowers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here Prabhupada explains, if you look at 27, there is a mention about the airplanes. Right? What airplanes? How is it possible? Airplanes were invented only probably 60, 70 years or 100 years back, not more than that. Right? Prabhupada explains in this purport that there are airplanes which are much, much advanced than what we have as of today in heavenly planets, in different planets. Right? And demigods and other residents of those heavenly planets used to travel from one planet to other planet using those airplanes. And Prabhupada explains that these airplanes run unlike our airplanes which run through the machines. Right? Those airplanes will not have machines. They are run by the Vedic hymns. Right? They are purely run by the mantras. So they will chant mantras. Based on the mantra, the airplane will start moving. Right? And if any of us think that, how is it possible? It is a myth, it is a hypothetical. We should talk about astras used in Kurukshetra war, in Mahabharata. Right? There are practical evidences even till date. Right? Saying the astras which are used in Kurukshetra war were much, much powerful than the nuclear bombs which we have today. And where is the technology coming from? No one knows. Right? Nobody knows where is the technology is coming from. Right? And what is an astra? We have a very clear understanding between what is an astra and what is a shastra. Right? Shastra is basically a weapon. Right? You have a bow and arrow, that's a shastra. You have a gada, that is a shastra. Right? There are different things. Right? But where is an astra? Right? So there is no particular weapon which is used. Right? Even, it is explained that in Mahabharata war, such kind of astras were used even with a small grass. Right? It is just that Vedic hymns, they chant a mantra and release it. Right? So, that's the difference. So, it is possible. It is there. Prabhupada explains that, there are planes in different heavenly planets, and demigods and residents of that region used to travel from place to place using those airplanes. Right? Yaksheshwara, who is mentioned in verse 28, is none other than Kuvera. Right? So Kuvera is the person who is referred here. So they are saying, demigods are explaining through Maitreya Muni that while passing over the forest, they also saw the regions of Kuvera. Right? That means Prabhuji and Mataji's Kuvera's residential complex or his place of residing is somewhere close to Kailasha. Right? Look at the understanding what Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us. Right? Kuvera, that means the planet of Kuvera where he is residing, right? It is somewhere close to Kailasha because they're passing through that area. Right? And if you look at 29, the beauty of Kailasa is explained very, very well here. Very nicely. The kind of lakes and the birds and all those things. Look how beautifully it is explained. Every verse. Every verse in this chapter from, starting from 8 to, probably another 1 or 2 slokas, how beautifully it is explained about the beautiness of Kailasha. Right? So we'll go into the next one. Yeah, 30. One of you can read this.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All these atmospheric influences unsettled the forest elephants who flocked together in the sandalwood forest, and the blowing wind agitated the minds of the damsels, therefore, there for further sexual enjoyment.
Hare Krishna. 31.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada teacher. They also saw that the bathing ghats and their staircase were made of Vaidurya Mani. The water was full of lotus flowers. Passing by such a lake, the demigods reached a place where there was a great banyan tree.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I read?
Shloka will surprise you. Please go to the translation.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please, Prabhuji.
That banyan tree was 800 miles high, and its branches spread over 600 miles around. The tree cast a fine shade which permanently cooled the temperature, yet there was no noise of birds. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this translation explains this verse, Prabhuji and Mataji's. The banyan tree was 800 miles high. It's not even kilometers, it's 800 miles. So forget about feet, right? 800 miles means roughly about 1200 kilometers, right? And 600 miles spread. It is spread around 600 miles. That is about 900 kilometers. So, if you look at probably the banyan tree is as big as the distance between Hyderabad and Delhi. Almost 2000 kilometers. Can we imagine that kind of a banyan tree? And that is available, that is there in Kailasha is what Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining. Right? So we'll go into the discussion, some important points. So number 30, Prabhupada explains the influence of atmosphere of sexual enjoyment, right? Because the atmosphere there, right, is very, very soothing. It obviously agitates the minds of, residents or damsels of heavenly planets for further sexual enjoyment, right? And that is very common. I mean, it is nothing different to what we see practically also, Prabhuji and Mataji's, right? Definitely not only for sexual enjoyment, for any of the activities that we perform, it is very, very practical to understand that the place where we are is very important, right? In fact, if you look at Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, right, Krishna also explains very clearly that place is very important to perform yogic activities, right? Ashtanga yoga. You cannot perform Ashtanga yoga wherever you can, right? Krishna explains that place is one of the important factors, right? You need to have a good place to do any of the activity. It could be Ashtanga yoga or anything, right? In the same way, why are our homes decorated so well? Because the atmosphere is important, right? Every place has its own importance for an atmosphere. You can't have, same atmosphere everywhere, right? Even if you take a simple atmosphere in our home, probably a dining hall will have a different atmosphere versus a living room. And our puja room or altar will have a different atmosphere altogether. That cannot be compared with a bedroom. Bedroom has a different atmosphere altogether, right? In the same way, the atmosphere in the Kailasha at that particular point of time is definitely agitating the minds of damsels for further sexual enjoyment, is what Prabhupada is explaining in this purport, right? And Prabhupada also goes to explain saying, the enjoyment in the material world versus spiritual world, right? Because Kailasa is part of the material world, right? Not it is not part of the spiritual world, right? Only Vaikuntha planets and Goloka will be part of spiritual world, right? The residents of Vaikuntha or Kailasa are still agitated with the sexual desires because of the atmosphere. And if that kind of atmosphere is available in Vaikuntha or Goloka, which is definitely there, the residents of such kind of heavenly planet or spiritual planets will be influenced or agitated only for the holy name of Lord Krishna. They don't want anything else.
One small point.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Maybe I got confused. I heard multiple times that the Shiva's abode, okay, Kailasha is part of spiritual planet and part of Vaikuntha only.
I don't think, Prabhuji, this particular chapter or purports by Prabhupada does not give us that understanding. Right? That's the reason Prabhupada very clearly mentions here, because it is influenced by the material nature. The residents of Kailasha are agitated their minds. Right? And Prabhuji, if I have to, take an example or, take a reference of the verses in Bhagavad Gita. In fact, Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, Krishna also says that A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartin Arjuna. Right? Mamupetya Kaunteya Punar Janmana Vidyate. Even if you go to the highest material planet of Brahma Loka, you will have to come back. Only if you come to my abode, you will not go back. Which means only his abode is spiritual, nothing else. That's my understanding, Prasad Prabhu. I think, Subara Prabhu, Sri Gopal Prabhu, any of the seniors in the group, if you can probably correct if my understanding is wrong, I'll be very grateful, Prabhuji.
It's because I spoke on this topic multiple times to Balagovinda Prabhu. So he said like, yes, okay, somebody who is complete devotion to Lord Shiva, he will go to his planet and that is spiritual. But maybe here the purports are different. Maybe we can take an offline discussion, Prabhu. No problem. That's okay, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Maybe
in one lecture we heard that one where Sadasiva, right? Sadasiva is the portion is that is a transcendental, but where Shiva is ranked, this our father, right? He is the material.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Let's continue, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah.
No problem, Prabhuji. And Prabhupada also explains, quoting the verse of Bhagavad Gita, right? So, Vishayavini vardante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. So, he says, that's the benefit of having the higher taste, right? And, Prasad Prabhu, just to answer your question, Prabhupada clearly explains this also, saying the difference between enjoyment of material world versus spiritual world. He says, when you have a higher taste, because you are in the planets of Vaikuntha, like, Vaikuntha and Goloka, your understanding of an enjoyment or your agitation is different because you're always in the chanting of the holy names or in the service of the Narayana or Krishna. You don't have any other enjoyment there. Whereas Prabhupada says, in Kailasha, you have a different enjoyment because it is a material world. Therefore, the agitation for further sexual enjoyment is more.
Okay.
Right? So,
Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji?
Can I say what my grandmother used to say? She was she used to say that the very bad people, they are going to go to Yamloka. The mediocres who led a good life, but was not that much into spiritualism, but were actually good people, Shiva will take their souls to his abode from the cremation ground. And for people who are chanting the names of Lord Sri Krishna, their souls will be taken from the deathbed itself. Their body will be only taken to the cremation ground, and Shiva will not be there to take their souls to his abode. That she used to say. She was she did not know read or write, but she used to say that.
Okay. I'm sure she would have got that information from somebody else who would have explained her. Haribol. Could be Mataji. Yeah. Last verse of this section today. So yeah, one of you can read this.
Hare Krishna, can I read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The demigods saw Lord Shiva sitting under that tree, which was completed to give perfection to mystic yogis and deliver all people. As grave as time eternal, he appeared to have given up all anger.
Hare Krishna. So it says that, finally they entered Kailasha and saw Lord Shiva sitting under that banyan tree, right? And he's meditating. And Prabhupada explains, the significance of Mahayogamaya here, right? There is a word called Mahayogamaya. See, basically yoga is, as all we know, it is like meditating, right? We are meditating on Supreme Personality of Godhead is yoga, right? Prabhupada also explains that, Lord Shiva is sitting there without any anger and meditating upon Lord Krishna at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is what, Prabhupada explains in this purport. And also he explains what is the difference of, yoga maya and yoga. We know that yoga is basically meditation. Yoga maya means engage in the devotional service of Vishnu, right? Yoga means is meditating on Vishnu. Yoga maya is engage in the devotional service of Vishnu, right? So that means he's in a deep meditation, he's in a deep trance, right? He's completely engaged. All his senses are engaged at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, right? Meditations means smaranam. We all know that. And Prabhupada also explains, because, Lord Shiva is meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, he's at a smaranam stage here. And Prabhupada also explains the 9 different kinds of devotional service, which, we all know that, Shravanam, Smaranam, Kirtanam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, right? So there are different kinds of devotional services, right? So Prabhupada explains that, Lord Shiva is at a Smaranam stage at that point of time, right? Where he's actually meditating on Lord Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet, right? So with that, we come to an end for this particular section, Prabhuji and Matajis. Right, I know that this section does not, this particular section of this chapter does not have many purports. It is just a self-explanatory, more or less, just kind of reading and understanding. There is no difficulty, I believe. Therefore, for me also it was very easy. Not much of effort to finish that. That's the reason I have taken more shlokas versus the next section of this chapter. So we'll open for questions. If there is anything that we want to discuss, anything we can discuss and conclude this section. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
He's covered till 32, Prabhu?
33, Prabhuji.
3. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. You can start at 34 tomorrow.
Sorry, I have not seen that number. 33.
Okay. 34 to the rest of the things.
53, something. Okay, thank you. Wonderful explanation, Dasraj Prabhu. It's really very, very nice session. In fact, the purports, the translations, okay, which been explained here, and your explanation gives a motivation for us to think of spiritual world.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's all Prabhupada's translations and Prabhupada's purports. There is nothing that I have done in this, in this presentation today. There is literally nothing, because most of 80-85% of this section is all self-explanatory. So I've just repeated what Prabhupada has given us in the translation and the purports. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Wonderful session. Thank you.
Any more questions? Any feedback? Any reflections?
One point, Prabhu. Maybe
yes.
Only one point, Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
Maybe if you have where it is mentioned that it is a material, maybe definitely Prabhupada must have mentioned in one or two purports. If it is, you just put a message, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yes, I'll do that, Prabhuji. Yeah. So it is there. Yeah. It is there in this purports only. Probably, okay. It is somewhere in 27 to 30.
27 to 30. Okay.
I will remove that and send it to you.
Right. Kailash mentioning about Kailash's material, Prabhu.
Not directly mentioning about Kailash's material, Prabhu. It says that, the people, the residents of Kailasha, because they're part of the material enjoyment there.
Yes.
Right? They will have to take bath in the river to purify themselves, because they cannot avoid the materialistic influence.
I'm not sure. Somewhere in the Bhagavatam it's mentioned this Kailasha is somewhere between the material world and the spiritual world.
Oh, okay.
Some portion of this is in the spiritual world, where Lord Shiva and his personal associates will sit there.
Okay.
Bottom portion is in the material world, where I think
all the other residents.
I don't remember where it was mentioned.
Prabhuji, Vanilla Mataji has shared a link that has all the description. It's Like really wonderful.
Yes, that link your Mataji shared.
Also, if you see the diagram of this 14 planetary system according to Bhagavatam, I mean, we have that big chart, right, which shows the spiritual sky and the material sky. So what Santosh Aditya Prabhuji has mentioned is depicted there, that it is just between the spiritual and material world. If you look at that chart, you'll realize that what Santosh Aditya Prabhuji is saying.
Yes. So I think, that could be Prabhuji. I think, as Santosh Aditya Prabhu said, probably, Lord Shiva and other important associates could be part of the spiritual world, because Kailasha is between the spiritual and material world. And the bottom part of the Kailasha is where, other normal residents or, other demigods who reside there. It could be part of.
Yeah, Prabhuji, the link actually there are different expansions of Shiva, and the first expansion, Sadashiva, is actually an expansion of Mahavishnu. This was discussed in another Bhagavatam class also in second canto in a different forum. So yeah, it is actually mentioned where we don't have to speculate, but it has given references of Adi Leela and Madhya Leela. Ante ippudu what Vanilla Mataji has shared, no, that also can be shown on the screen for clarity of everybody, since the discussion is already on. I feel that is better, so nobody goes out with a doubt.
Sorry, Prabhuji and Mataji, I think there is a power shredding. I've joined back.
Yeah, Prabhuji, can you click the link and show it on screen, Prabhuji?
Which one, Mataji?
Vanilla Mataji in the chat has
This
actually.
is a chat box.
Are you able to see it because of your power outage? Have you like?
No, I've joined back.
Yeah. See this? You can click this.
Yes, I got that.
And you can show it on the screen. It actually gives references of where what is mentioned.
Yeah, just a minute. Let me share that. Yeah, are you able to see, Mataji?
Not yet, Prabhu. It's now we can see it, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So it says, 3 types of Shiva in Vaikuntha: intermediate and material worlds.
You can go down further, Prabhuji. The question is there below.
Which question, Mataji?
Below, you can just go down and the explanation is there.
Hold on.
Yeah, this is the part. But these are the 3 sections.
Yeah.
Shiva in Vaikuntha.
Yeah, Shiva in the Vaikuntha sky, Shiva Tattva, Sadashiva in the intermediate sky, and Lord Shiva and
11 Rudra expansions.
Yeah, 11 Rudra expansions in the material sky. But again, I think Lord Shiva is mentioned twice here.
You can go up, Prabhuji. There is an explanation. Go a little up. So it starts from the first one, the first
Sadashiva.
Yeah, see. The Shiva is known as Shambhu or Sadashiva, and he is an expansion of Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva. Sorry, can't see. Yeah. Sadashiva exists in Vaikuntha Loka.
Yeah.
Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva is
the material cause of the world. Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva is the material cause of the world. Mahavishnu being the efficient cause. This form, Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva, is same as Mahavishnu. This Sadashiva is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 6.79. As Vishnu Tattva, he is about 93% of the qualities of Krishna and is nearly similar to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Actually, he is a Vishnu Tattva only.
Yeah.
In another explanation that we had in a Bhagavatam class, it said that we talk that there is a mention about the Pradhana being glanced at by Mahavishnu.
Yes.
And that glance is actually the Sadashiva. So everything in spiritual world, everything is a personality. It's not just a glance like our glance. Every factor, every action is a personality, and that's what was explained in that class. Actually, I had made notes also, but
Yeah, that's true, Mother. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It's
no,
not
not
for
only, and it's a personality. It's a different personality. So, so the glance of Mahavishnu is a personality, and like that, everything is a personality.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mataji. Thanks for the explanation.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Prabhuji and Matajis?
Thank you, Dasraj Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam, Mataji.
Hello, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.